Have you noticed that the more you try to keep everything under control, the more life seems to slip through your fingers? It's like holding water too tightly. The grip transfers tension to you and brings no real command over what happens. But there is a point, silent, almost invisible, where the energy shifts. When you stop fighting life and finally release the inner resistance, something curious happens. The world doesn't fall apart. You are the one who begins to truly breathe. Today, we are going to walk through this deep territory, inspired by Hawkins' principles, to understand why the need for control drains your vitality, and what happens when you, for the first time in decades, allow life to move without carrying everything on your shoulders. There is a moment in life, and it usually arrives after 35, 40, 50, sometimes even later, when we notice something uncomfortable. The body is tired, the mind is rushing, but life seems stuck. It's as if there's an inner gear jammed, grinding on the inside, while we move on autopilot trying to keep everything working. And when we look honestly, we notice an almost invisible pattern. The constant need to control everything, to control emotions, to control the future, to control what others think, to control outcomes, conversations, relationships, even silence itself. But no one wakes up one day thinking, "Oh, I'm going to try to control my entire life." This is born slowly as a defense, a mechanism built from small hurts, experiences of instability, frustrated expectations, and safety that never arrived. Over time, this control stops being protection and becomes an emotional prison. You feel it mainly in three places: in the continuous tension of the body, a constant tightness in the chest, rigid shoulders, shallow breathing; in the hyperactive mind, an endless flow of "what if," "I should have," "I can't let this happen"; in the feeling of carrying everything alone, as if relaxing were dangerous, as if lowering your guard could collapse structures you've been sustaining for decades. Hawkins explains this phenomenon in a way that is both simple and profound. Inner resistance is what truly steals vitality. It's not the events nor the problems themselves, it's the way we cling to them, trying to hold the world with our own hands. When you live in the logic of control, something curious happens. The natural flow of life loses space. You try to avoid pain, but you also prevent new experiences from entering. You try to avoid risks, but you end up avoiding spontaneity as well. You hold water tightly, and it slips through your fingers. The real issue is that this control doesn't dissolve through willpower. It dissolves through recognition, through the quiet courage to look inward and see, "I've been carrying this for decades, and I didn't even know." And it's at this point that many people feel, for the first time, a kind of silent relief. The recognition that it's not weakness, not failure, not incapacity. It's simply an emotional pattern formed when you didn't yet have awareness. And now, in this exact moment, it begins to move. When you start to let go, not all at once, but one thread, then another, slowly, almost imperceptibly, something deep begins to reorganize inside. And the most interesting thing is that the change doesn't happen on the outside first. It begins exactly where no one sees, in the inner space where you once felt only tension. Hawkins says that all resistance contains a stored emotional charge, and when you release it, you don't lose control. You regain energy. It's almost counterintuitive. The less you try to control, the more grounded you feel. The less you try to hold on, the more real strength emerges from within. Not a tense strength, but a quiet strength. The kind that doesn't need to prove anything. Think of an old house. Sometimes you place furniture against every wall, boxes in every corner. You push things into closets, all in an attempt to maintain order. But that order is just compression. It doesn't give room to breathe. And then, when someone finally removes a box, rearranges a space, throws an object away, suddenly the house feels bigger than you remembered. The same happens with the emotional system. Letting go of control is creating space. It's removing the excess of mental, emotional, and even physical tension and allowing energy to circulate again. And here comes the real promise of this process. When you abandon the need for control, what truly changes is not the world. It's you living inside it. You begin to notice the body breathes differently. The mind is no longer so reactive. Situations no longer feel so threatening. You react less and respond more. What once triggered you immediately now passes through an inner filter of awareness. And that feeling of always holding everything together begins gradually to dissolve. But this process has layers. You don't release everything at once. You release specific patterns, expectations, old fears, the desire to control how others perceive you, attempts to guarantee outcomes. And this is exactly where the transformation begins. Letting go is not giving up. It is ceasing to resist what is already present. From this point, the three deepest changes people report when they abandon control begin to appear. Emotional clarity. The mental fog decreases. Spontaneous vitality. The body feels lighter. Energy flows. Real presence. You begin to exist in the now without dragging decades of tension with you. These changes are not theoretical. They are felt, almost always in a silent, gradual, organic way. Like when you notice the water of a lake becoming clear again after weeks without disturbance. And this is what we will deepen in the next part. To understand what truly sustains the need for control, we need to go beyond behavior and enter a more subtle terrain. The emotional layers that accumulate throughout life. Because no one controls out of whim. A person controls because, at some point, they learned that if they didn't, something would hurt. And these layers usually form on three deep levels. The layer of silent self-protection. This is the oldest one. It doesn't begin in adulthood. It begins in childhood, in experiences you often don't even remember anymore. Situations in which you felt that something was missing. Presence, predictability, nurturing emotional safety. When these foundations are not solid, the body, in a very intelligent way, creates a system. I protect myself. This self-protection becomes an armor, and the armor becomes control. But decades later, we keep using the same mechanism, even when we no longer need it. Protection becomes rigidity. Rigidity becomes exhaustion, the layer of the inner narrative. As the years go by, this control gains words inside you. If I don't take care of this, no one will. I can't relax now. I have to stay alert. It's better to prevent than to fix. If I let go, things will go wrong. These sentences seem rational, but they are only mental translations of old emotional tensions. The most curious part is that most of these narratives were not chosen by you. They were internal responses, created to deal with experiences that perhaps no longer make sense today. Letting go of control, therefore, is like updating an emotional operating system that has been running in defense mode for 30, 40, 50 years. The layer of identity. This is the deepest one, and for that reason, the hardest to recognize. At some point, you didn't just control, you became the person who controls. The responsible one, the one who holds everything together, the one who anticipates everything, the one who ensures stability for everyone around. And when a pattern becomes part of identity, letting go feels dangerous. It feels like losing who you are. But Hawkins says something powerful. What you release is never you. What you release is only accumulated tension within you. And this changes everything. Because letting go stops being a threat and becomes liberation. How these layers begin to dissolve in practice, not through effort, not through discipline, not through complex techniques. They begin to dissolve through permission. Permission to feel what has always been suppressed. Permission to not have an immediate answer. Permission to admit that you are tired. Permission to not know where to go now. Permission to exist without carrying. When you give this permission, the body makes a natural movement. It releases. The nervous system slows down. The inner rigidity softens. The mind stops fighting everything, and something that had been stuck for decades begins to flow. It's like a very old knot being undone, thread by thread, until you realize that you are no longer tensing by impulse. You are breathing spontaneously. When you begin to release the need for control, something extraordinary happens. And it happens in such an organic way that sometimes you only notice when your life is already unfolding differently. It's not a dramatic shift. It's not a sudden reversal. It's more like sunrise. You don't see the sun rising, but you notice that the sky is already bright. Let's integrate these changes in a concrete way. The change in how you feel the body. Before, the body was a field of defense, tense, vigilant, always prepared for the next impact. Now it becomes a field of presence. The breath deepens on its own. The posture becomes more natural. That sense of weight on the shoulders softens the heart, seems to have more room to beat. This change is not psychological. It is physiological. When you stop resisting internally, the nervous system returns to a state of balance. The body trusts again. And when the body trusts, you exist with more authenticity. The change in the way you process emotions. Before, everything was interpreted as a threat, a silence, a delay, a change of plans, a different look. Now, the same stimulus passes through a larger space within you. It's as if you had gained precious seconds between what happens and what you feel. And in those seconds, choice emerges, clarity emerges, emotional maturity emerges. You stop reacting, you begin to respond. This simple shift changes relationships, decisions, your life's rhythm, and most importantly, your relationship with yourself. The change in the way you relate to life before. Everything felt heavy because you were trying to manage destiny. Now, there is space for life to participate. You don't abandon responsibility. You abandon rigidity. You don't lose your sense of direction. You lose the fear of deviating. You don't become passive. You become receptive. And receptivity is not weakness. It is wisdom in motion. It is understanding that control was always an illusion that cost too much energy, and that letting go is not letting life drag you. It is letting life accompany you. There is a moment, and perhaps you feel it even during this very video, when a simple understanding settles in. Peace does not come when the world stops being unpredictable. Peace comes when you stop tensing against it. This is where the inner flow returns. This is where vitality comes back. This is where clarity reveals itself. And finally, you realize that you were not tired of life. You were tired of fighting against it. When resistance falls, life doesn't become perfect, but it becomes alive. And so do you. If this content opened any new space inside you, even a small one, even a subtle one, allow yourself to continue this process. Not with haste, not with pressure, only with presence. Share this video with someone you feel carries a world on their shoulders. Sometimes one sentence about letting go already begins to ease decades of tension. And if you want to go deeper, continue this journey with me, or access other content about emotional awareness, inner vitality, and the process of undoing resistance. Subscribe to the channel. Here, you are not walking this path alone.